what if I could point you to one Facebook ad metric that would tell you whether your ad was going to rock or suck, whether to scale your ad or to kill the ad? And what if, by understanding how this metric works, you were able to manage to that metric to create consistently winning ads? Would you be interested? Hey everyone, I'm Kim Snider here from Sync to CRM, and I want to say thank you for joining me for episode number 11. Hard to believe that we've been at it this long. It doesn't seem like 11 weeks, but there you go. So if you want to get better results from your Facebook advertising campaigns, and like who doesn't, right? Well, then you're definitely in the right place today, because today I am going to explain why Relevance Score should be your go-to metric, how to raise it, and how you can, by doing that, you can create consistent winners. So let's just start out with a reminder of what Relevance Score is. In a nutshell, this is how Facebook keeps score in what I call the great Facebook ad game. Relevance Score is a calculated number between 1 and 10 that is the best predictive indicator that we have of how successful an ad is going to be. And the way that Facebook calculates Relevance Score is by looking at all sorts of different engagement numbers. Basically anything that it has at its disposal. Things like, well, obvious things like clicks and likes and shares and comments, right? But also things like how much time is spent reading your ad. Did they click on the read more button? How much time did they spend watching a video? How far did they click through a lead ad? If they went to your site, how long did they stay on your site? Did they convert? Did they fill out a form? It knows all of those things, obviously including the things that happen on your site because of your Facebook pixel. So it looks at all of those things in order to determine how engaged your target audience is with an ad, and then assign this score. And it doesn't, and because it is accumulating that data, it doesn't assign a relevance score until you get a reach of at least 500. So again, it's between 1 and 10, and the higher the number, the better. And your goal is to get 8 or better on every single ad. Now, in terms of where do you see Relevance Score on your own ads, you can find it in your reports. It's actually in the default view. If you click all the way through to the ad and then scroll to the far right, you'll see it'll say Relevance Score. And if you don't see it, then what you may need to do is there's a drop down right there that says columns. And you just hit that drop down and put a check box next to Relevance Score. And if it wasn't there before, it will be there now. In case you didn't get all that, don't worry, because I put a screenshot of that in this week's cheat sheet. So you can just follow the arrows on my screenshot. Okay. And in terms of the screen sheet, the cheat sheet, the URL to that, it should be on your bottom right-hand side of the screen. It's synctocrm.com/EP11 for those of you who are listening to the podcast. All right. Now, what we know empirically is that Facebook rewards Relevance Score with more reach and lower ad costs. So when you have a high relevance score, it becomes like this virtuous circle. Facebook helps good ads do even better. So the question then is what to do when you run an ad and it isn't an 8 or better. what do you do to get that relevance score up? And the answer is reverse engineering. So we know that Facebook calculates this relevance score based on engagement, right? So what we have to do is reverse engineer the ad to get maximum engagement. So let me just throw up a graphic here there you go, to help you visualize how I think about relevance score and how to reverse engineer it, okay? And again, this graphic is also in the cheat sheet. If you are listening to the podcast, again, the URL is sync2crm.com/EP11. Go to that page and just scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see either a thumbnail or an orange button down there. Just click that to get a copy of the cheat sheet. Okay, so what you're looking at here is, as I said, and some of you may have seen this before, but this is how I think about relevance score. And what it says is that this relevance score between 1 and 10 is influenced by the two things on the two axes, one being your audience targeting and the other being your offer and / creative. And the better those are, and by better really in terms of relevance score, we're talking about the more specific they are, the more relevant they are, right? To the person being targeted, the higher that score is going to be. So remember, that in order to have this successful ad with a really high relevance score, it's all about specificity as best as you can. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a balancing act that we have to do, especially with our audiences, between size and specificity, but generally, the more specific, the better. All right? The first thing that I'm going to look for is I'm going to look at the ad. I'm going to start with the ad targeting. And question number 1 that I'm going to ask myself is, have I successfully run ads to this target audience before? And the reason I'm going to ask that is because obviously I am going to think about this audience differently if it's an audience that I've already had success with, right? As compared to one that is brand new. So I want to understand that first. And if I have had success with this audience previously, then one of the things that I might want to do is go back and look at the ads that have been successful so that I can see what worked previously and how are they different from what it is that I'm doing right now. Okay? Question number 2 that I would ask myself, and again, these are in order because I've run an ad that is below my target of 8. Question number 2 is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how generic is this audience? And is there a way I can make it more specific? For example, let's say that this is a lookalike audience. Well, can I overlay demographics or an interest over that lookalike in order to get a tighter fit with who it is that I'm trying to attract to this ad, as an example? And speaking of interest and targeting overlays, I did a masterclass called How to Find Your Target Audience on Facebook, regardless of what you sell or who you sell it to. And you can find the replay for that by going to sync2crm.com/targeting. And that'll take you right to the replay page. And no worries if you just missed that. Again, it's in the links in the show notes and the cheat sheet at EP11, sync2crm.com/EP11. Okay, so let's move on to the ad itself. In the ad, question number 3 on my checklist is going to be, is this image compelling? Because remember that the first step in engagement is just getting them to stop to read or look at your ad. Okay, that's the very first thing that Facebook is going to see. Okay, so the job of your image is to stop their thumb from scrolling past that ad. And I have this list of image formulas that I use over and over again. And ideally, I want an image in my ad to have at least 2 or 3 of those formulaic sort of image properties in each one of my ad images. So, for example, bright contrasting colors and an image of a person who is showing a lot of emotion. Smiling, supposedly a woman smiling, looking forward, supposedly works best, but any emotion actually works pretty well. Okay, so that would be 2 different formulas in the same image, okay? So I want to look at that. Then the next thing, number 4 question is that image what we call on brand? And this is something that I actually do as I say, not as I do. I'm really trying to get better at this. Your images really need to be consistent enough that when someone scrolls past them in their newsfeed, they're thumbing, when they see your ad, they thin slice recognize that from the image that is your ad, and therefore hopefully, because they're interested right in your stuff, they stop. All right, so this is something I do a pretty good job of in some places, for example the branding on this broadcast, but not others. I just as a quick example, I am currently right this minute running a Facebook lead ad. And the relevance score on that is a 6, but it has, and it's to a warm audience, so they know me, and it has a relevance score of 6, but 0 conversions. And when I looked at it this morning to go through this checklist, that image is absolutely not on brand, right? Like, duh. So I need to change that. And that will be one of the first things that I do to try to get that relevance score from 6 to 8 or higher and hopefully get that ad converting. Okay, question number 5. Is the offer compelling? Okay, and by offer, I don't necessarily mean what you're ultimately trying to sell. I mean, what is the offer in that specific ad, which may be just to, a piece of content for them to read, ungated, no email. It may be your lead magnet, whatever it is it compelling? And the thing that we always have to remember is, of course, we think it's good because we made it. We thought to make it. So, but is it really? Meaning, does it solve a very specific problem that your target audience has and know they have, and it's a big enough pain point that they're willing to stop and click on your ad in order to solve it? Is the benefit clear in the way that you wrote the ad copy? And is your, whatever it is, the offer, so great that people will like, share, and comment on it? Because, what you have to remember is that Facebook doesn't want adsy ads. They want ads that are as close as possible to a regular old newsfeed post as they can get. And so your job is to put together something that is so super helpful that and to put it in front of the right user at just the right time, right? That makes it feel very, very natural and not pushy. Okay. Okay. So question number 6 then is: does the copy, what we call out the audience? And now here's an important, not just does it call them out, but does it call them out where someone can see it in both desktop and mobile ads? Because remember, and I don't have the exact number, but it's huge. It's like 75-80% of ad traffic and ad revenue for Facebook is mobile. So if you aren't, when you're constructing that ad, when you call out who your target audience is, hey, small business owner, small business owner having problems with Facebook, not getting the return you want on your Facebook ad. That's what we mean by calling out the audience. If you're not doing that in a place where the mobile user can see it, you might as well not have done it. Okay, so that's important. Question number 7 is the ad, and sort of this is actually a kind of a lead on from 6, is the ad properly optimized for whatever the ad placement is, right? Depending on whether you said right-hand column, mobile, desktop, Instagram, whatever, is the copy, the important copy, where people can see it? And what about the call to action, right? Is the call to action something I would do if I was mobile, for example? Things like that, all right? So I'm going to check those things. Question number 8 for me is the copy benefit driven? And is it benefit driven for a specific audience rather than just generic? Meaning, did I write this ad for a specific avatar? For example, did I write this ad for the internet entrepreneur, which is one of my avatars, specifically, who I'm going to speak to much differently than a brick and mortar small business owner? Or did I just make it something generic that would apply to all of my avatars and lump them all into one audience? If I did that, then the relevance score is not going to be anywhere near as high as if I addressed each one individually, because the benefits will be different for each, the language will be different for each. You get the idea, right? Okay, so and then question number 9 is, does my copy employ curiosity? Does it use questions? Does it open loops that the Facebook user has to click through or do whatever it is that I want done in order to answer that kind of open question? That's what we mean by an open loop. Okay, so do I have emotion in my copy, curiosity, open loops, etc.? And then question number 10, and this is kind of the final one, is do I encourage interaction? Because again, if that's what we're reverse engineering engagement, then do you very specifically encourage that? For example, you might say things in your ad like, "Hey, know someone else who would benefit from this," or "Hey, share or tag them in the post," or leave a comment below, or actually, like, "Hey, do you have questions about this? Leave a comment below." Because again, Facebook doesn't want adsy ads. They want ads that feel like posts. And so even though it's an ad, by you saying leave your comment below and I'll be happy to come back and answer any questions that you have, then you get engagement, but it also feels more like a regular post. Okay. Another possibility there is, can you get away with longer copy? Because one of those things is, the longer they're reading, and then it's almost like a little micro commitment. Okay, well, if I've written longer copy, I hit the see more button, I've read all of that copy, right now I've got a little investment going in your ad, the odds of my clicking through may be greater. I'm not saying that's 100%, by the way. You always have to test for your audience, but for certain offers, longer copy might make sense, and longer copy can, at times, raise your relevance score, okay? And then here's just kind of a little bonus. Along the lines of Facebook rewarding certain things that they value, like relevance and engagement, in my experience, video, if you're not using video automatically gets a bit of a bump in terms of relevance score. It's like a huge little helping hand from Facebook, and that's because Facebook have publicly said that they believe that video is the future and that they're all in on it, and they're going to do everything in their power to make sure it succeeds. And so for the moment, video gets Facebook just kind of gives you a couple of extra, and it seems to me a couple of extra relevance points just for being video. All right. So first of all, Relevance Score is the best predictive indicator that we have of an ad's future success. You get a relevance score after a reach of 500. You want 8 or better. And to raise your relevance score, we reverse engineer engagement into the ad. And finally, if you aren't using video, it's the biggest bang for your buck right now and almost guarantees a higher relevance score as compared to any other ad format out there. All right. So that is how to raise your relevance score. All right. So just to round it up, if you want the cheat sheet, I rounded up all the notes, the links, the resources from the broadcast, plus the checklist that I just gave you that I use myself in order to work out how to raise my own relevance scores. You can get that at sync2crm.com/EP11, as in episode 11. Just go to that link, scroll to the bottom of the page, and you'll see either a button or thumbnail, one or the other of the cheat sheet. Press that, and it will get you the cheat sheet in your hot little hands. All right. Also, if you have questions, thoughts, comments, something that you'd like me to cover in a future episode, put those down below in the comments. See how I just did that? Encouraging engagement. Feel free to leave them below, and I will come back and try to answer those and address whatever questions or topics that you would like to see addressed in a future episode. All right. And that's it for now. This is Kim Snider from Sync to CRM. See you next time.